Welcome to today's international news update. Let's hear the headlines first. Boris Johnson spends second night in intensive care. Acting US Navy Secretary resigns due to coronavirus worship row. China to release tourist blacklist after Great Wall vandalized on reopening day. New York City reports a record 800 plus coronavirus deaths in one day. And Trump rounds on WHO as coronavirus pandemic depends. These were the headlines. Now jump into the details news. Boris Johnson is spending a second night in intensive care as he continues to receive treatment for coronavirus. The PM is being kept at St. Thomas Hospital in London for closing monitoring. Mr. Johnson's condition is stable and he remains in good spirits, his spokesman added on Tuesday evening. Downing Street also confirmed that the planned review into whether the UK's coronavirus lockdown measures could be eased would not go ahead this Monday. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, who is depositing for the Prime Minister, has said he was confident the Prime Minister would recover from this illness, describing him as a fighter. Speaking at Tuesday's Downing Street coronavirus briefing, he said Mr. Johnson was receiving standard oxygen treatment and was breathing without any assistance, such as mechanical ventilation or non-invasive respiratory support. It is understood that there will not be a further update on Mr. Johnson's condition until later on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the first patients have been admitted to the NHS Nightingale Hospital in East London, a temporary facility set up at the Excel Conference Centre. The admissions come 2 weeks after the hospital with a planned capacity of 4,000 was formally announced. The acting secretary of the US Navy has resigned amid uproar over the handling of a coronavirus outbreak on an aircraft carrier. Thomas Modly fired the USS Theodore Roosevelt's captain after he pleaded for help in a letter leaked to media. Mr. Modly apologized on Monday after it emerged he had called Captain Brett Crozier's actions naive and stupid. The secretary's exit comes a day after US President Donald Trump signaled he might get involved in the dispute. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said Mr. Modly had resigned of his own accord. The Pentagon chief said the crew's health and safety were a priority for the department. Army Undersecretary James McPherson is expected to replace Mr. Modly. Captain Crozier was fired last week, and footage of his crew sending him off the warship with applause went viral. Mr. Modly flew 8,000 miles on Monday to the Pacific island of Guam, where the USS Theodore Roosevelt is docked, and berated the crew for having cheered the captain as he left the ship. Mr. Modly flew 8,000 miles on Monday to the Pacific of Guam. Mr. Modly told the crew that their former captain did was very, very wrong and amounted to betrayal of trust with his chain of command, according to recordings leaked on US media. Officials in China are hoping the threat of public shaming will prevent tourists from defacing the country's most famous icon, the Great Wall. The popular battling section of the Great Wall reopened on March 24, after being closed for 2 months due to the coronavirus outbreak. That very same day, a visitor was reportedly caught on camera defacing the historic site with a key. The news quickly went viral, enraging Chinese nations. The hashtag with translating to Great Wall vandalized the first day in rebrand became a trending topic on Weibo, China's most popular social media platform. How could such uncivilized behavior happen repeatedly? Asked Weibo user Wuhan citizen on a discussion board. I think these people should be arrested and locked away for 5 days so they would remember the lesson. In response, the Grateful Office, which is responsible for the administrative and public affairs within the Battling Special Tourism Zone, has implemented a series of new disciplinary measures against vandalism starting from April 6. According to the Young Country Battling Special Zone official's Weibo account, it will impose administrative penalties of 7 types of vandalism towards cultural relics, including carving and other international damages. The number of deaths from the novel coronavirus continued to reach grim milestones, with more than 800 fatalities reported Tuesday in New York City. According to city health officials, the national daily total of 1,858, according to Johns Hopkins University, also reached a record high. It is unclear whether the New York City figure of 806 was used in compiling the US total. Still, the distressing numbers came as some officials expressed hope that some areas of the country were reaching the peak of the curves of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths. Earlier, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo had said the numbers of hospitalizations in his state was reaching a plateau, but residents still needed to be disciplined. We have to be smart, we have to be safe. We do not we do that by standing at home, he told reporters. The US coronavirus death toll exceeds 12,800, but health officials say parts of the country that leaned in heavily to social distance measuring may be seeing a slowdown in the growth of coronavirus cases. US President Donald Trump has threatened to put a hold on funds for the World Health Organization, accusing the organization of bias towards China and performing badly in the coronavirus pandemic as deaths from the disease jumped into the US state Europe and cases surged in Africa. The US provides the WHO's biggest source of funds. Trump told reporters he was going to put a very powerful hold on the WHO but did not elaborate. Trump's comments came at New York report 731 people had died from coronavirus, the disease caused by the virus, the highest daily increase so far, and the number of confirmed cases in the US neared 4 lakhs. The United Kingdom, where Prime Minister Boris Johnson is in intensive care with the disease, also reported its biggest daily rise in deaths. Amid fears of a new wave of infections, countries in Asia are stepping up measures against the outbreak, with Japan entering a state of emergency and a partial lockdown and Singapore closing all schools. In Wuhan, the Chinese city where the virus first emerged, a ban on travel was finally lifted on Wednesday morning. Thousands took the opportunity to live. Globally, the number of people diagnosed with the virus now exceeds 1.4 million. More than 81,500 people have died, while more than 3 lakhs have recovered, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University.